Hello everyone, Dan 14th Prime here. Thought I'd do one more video share out here on the new ModuCase 1604, the 6 series, 6th 1604 wall unit. I think this video will be applicable to probably any ModuCase kind of assembly. It's just a bit of a heads up video, but of course even very specific to the 6 series cases because that's what that is. And I didn't want to do a full assembly video. There's, I think, some good assembly videos out there. If nothing, they may be painfully long from time to time. But assembly is not difficult. But one of the learnings I had, once you kind of get into it, is everyone focuses on, of course, the very slick and innovative, rail system and screw system and how you sort of put the box together. You can watch someone do that for probably 10 minutes and you'll get it. You'll try it, you'll do it. And frankly, after you do a box or two, it probably only takes you maybe 15 minutes per to kind of get through the rest of them, including, kind of getting them mounted onto the overall wall. So it moves pretty quick once you get the hang of it. But a couple learnings here to maybe avoid any potential rework or just let people know what's up with some of the smaller things that are in the box here. You'll see all this stuff and we'll kind of just pick through it, but some tools, some plastic things, some little brackets, different types of screws, plastic stuff, right? So what's all that for and how do you use it? I'm just going to give a quick overview of that. It's probably handy to know up front, just so you make sure you don't mess anything up and have to come back around after the fact. So let's start off here with a pretty major one. You'll get these plastic guard, plastic seam looking things. These would be for the 110 cases. They kind of are right there, like the height of that sort of case. You come over here. This is like the 98. I can't even kind of get it all in frame holding the camera, but it's, the length of the height of the case. And what you're going to want to do is when the case comes together, the plexiglass, you put the face together, you're going to have already these things embedded in kind of your top and bottom bars. You then need to put in yourself this piece of material into the face of the case, slide in the plexiglass, and then you'll need to cap it off with one of these in the back as well. These really make sure the plexiglass fits really tight and snug and gives you the best dust protection. I actually started off putting my cases together forgetting this, and it's really flimsy and loose, the plexiglass. You wouldn't notice it looking at it, but once you start to touch it and handle the case, you do notice it. So don't forget to put in your, little like dust guard seams that go in the groove to really catch and seal the plexiglass nice and tight. You got to do that again before you put in a panel and then after you put in the panel. Next up here, just going in a little bit of order, you'll get something like this. Plastic rectangular thing, double-sided tape on one side, and it just sort of slides and opens up. See that? And then you close it up. This is, of course, for the wiring. If you go up here, the light's going to make it maybe tougher, but you see it. It's right here, right? This is that. It's stuck up there. You see, you run it along the length, the depth of the case. Get your wires sort of, I've got mine maybe, like 25% of the way in there, so it keeps it nice and snug and tight before it just gets to the cord that runs back here. On the 6 series, you need to cut them down. The lights that come are like, they're DF series lights. So you can see, this is one uncut. That light's like right in your face, so it's hard to see probably, but it's too long because this will not slide over the connector points here. So you got to cut it back behind the connector point. You can see here, you'll cut it back literally probably 2 inches. Just mark it with your thumb. Go take a hacksaw to it out in the garage, goes through it like butter, and just cut them to length. Up next here, here's an important one. You get these plastic feet. You get some bigger rectangular ones, and you get these smaller square ones. These go on the bottom of the cases. Okay, these are the feet, as I said. They don't go on every case. When you order ModuCase, and if you order a wall unit like this, they send you all the parts as if you were just going to have separate standalone cases. So you end up with a lot of leftover parts, a lot of leftover plexiglass. You don't use this inside panel, for example, lots of leftover feet, etc. But make sure you put these on your bottom cases before you start stacking these things up and it gets too tall or heavy to kind of get underneath of it. Especially if you have a hardwood, definitely use them. I'd even recommend just keeping them on. Even if you're going with carpet, it's just going to help protect your floor and make these things slide around a little bit easier. Continuing here, in no particular order it seems. It's kind of hard for me to get all the way up there. This is the main tool. Pretty straightforward. One comes with every case, like I said, so you end up with like a half dozen of these things. When you put the rails together, there's all these holes, right? And that just pokes through the hole, hits the screw, and then you just tighten the screw. So this is a key piece for just assembling the rails. Pretty straightforward. Likewise, they give you a little Allen wrench here. It works for certain of the bolts and screws that I'll show you here in a minute. Up next here, you'll get a pack of these little ball bearing brackets. They're like these little circle things. That focuses on that. It's like a little silver thing. You see a ball bearing right there that pushes in. Got a screw hole up top. So these things are critical to go behind these brackets, which tie the cases together on the inside, and also like the adjustable shelves. So what you do here, trying to keep this thing optimally focused, sometimes a challenge when you're moving around a lot, but these here, they literally just snap into these grooves right here. You can see them actually kind of the silver sticking out behind here, and it gives you the screw hole you're going to need to mount this bracket. So that's, for example, one place they're used. They're also used here, for example, in the floating shelf to keep the plexiglass on, and also in the corners to screw the shelves into. So this is a main sort of connector joint for you. Next up here, you'll get, like I said, a bag of those brackets. So these just look like this. And again, you come over here. When you put the silver thing in, you put that over the top, and then the bolts I'll show you just bolt it in. It advises 2 in the back, 1 in the front. I just go 2 and 2. I mean, why not? You want to make this thing as structurally strong as possible. So on this case here, you see one there. There is one here. Down here, you see one there. Again, there is one here, for example, on this 98. So I kind of use 2 at each level of the case because you wanted to make this thing just as strong and stable as possible. So next up here, you'll get a bag of these screws. Again, these look like this. So if we take a look at these are the screws that you'll use here. So those go right there to connect in those brackets. You also get several of these strong metal pillar looking things with multiple holes. These are connect the cases vertically. So I have some here on the side of the case that you can see. And again, I'm going to be extending this so that ultimately won't show. And even maybe if you had one at the end, you'd paint it black if you wanted to make that perfect. But these slide in here. You really take them from the top down. I've got the top thing on there, so I can't really do it. But it drops down in, and you push it through to connect the cases here. Or if you need to go one down, just keep going down. And again, the screws go top and bottom. The middle holes, you line up with the holes that's connecting these 2 rails of the case. So you always have access to those. I recommend put as many of these on as possible. Again, it just increases the stability of the case. Like everywhere there's a seam in the back of mine connecting cases. I put one everywhere I could. Again, I'd put them on the sides, especially the back side bracket back there. Always put one there. And again, here, because it was sort of the end cap, if you will, I put one there as well. So I went generous with these because you want to have a nice sturdy structure. And the screws for those, just to make it all nice and flat, are these kind of flat headless screws. Probably going to be super small to see, but again, if you get the case, you will see them. And this uses the Allen wrench, right? So you'll see this screw down here, screwed in, for example, right there. That's that screw. Again, open, open, and screw. And then finally here, you get these plastic clip-looking things. You'll get some of those. Again, here's one standalone. This is all about wiring. It should be really tough to probably show you here, but again, the wire is coming. It's going through the plastic chamber, and then it goes down into this channel in the back of the case. And hopefully right here, you can see I have one of these. All you do is push it in there and snap it down. It just keeps the cord bedded down into that channel. So this is just a piece of cord management. And that's it. Again, really just a heads up video just to kind of share out some of the learnings if you're putting any ModuCase together, particularly the 6 series, because yeah, I mean, as I went through it, I learned some of that. I forgot the feet. I was wondering like, what the hell's with this? Do I not have the right length? And I just figured I had to cut it down. That's okay. Kind of struggled with, what goes behind this? How do you snap that bracket really in? So some of those things that, I just worked through, they weren't necessarily like long, painful things to work through, but I just wish I would have known up front. Certainly would have saved me some time. So I want to share those out. Again, I've got more cases coming in later. I've got more of these 698s. I've got a couple walls of Max series. So if there's some energy for like an assembly video, that's not like an hour long, of course, I try to make something nice and tidy for you guys. Just drop a comment. I'll keep it in mind when those future cases come in. Just so we can kind of keep building some knowledge about these in the community and how best to put them together and how best to make them look. So thanks for stopping by, checking out the video again, doing a little shout out here in the Prime Pyre. Drop a like or a comment on your way out. If you hung around this long, please consider subscribing. If everything in front of you here is something that interests you, there's a lot more behind me as well, stuff like that you'll see on the Prime Pyre. So subscribe and stay tuned for more stuff like this. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.